This video started when I asked all of you what you most wanted to learn about next, and the answer was a resounding request for healthy meal prep ideas. If you want to cut straight to the chase, just skip ahead by using the chapter markers. But there were things that I learned in the process of making this video that I thought were worth explaining. So if you're interested in hearing how I've come to use meal prep to follow the Mediterranean diet every day, stay with me for a couple of minutes and I'll take you on my little journey. I'll admit I spend so much time in the kitchen that my version of meal prep has usually just been the result of making way more than we eat in any one setting. So I always end up with what I always call leftovers, but now everybody else knows it as meal prep. And frankly, I don't know if you're looking at meal prep as a bunch of pre-packed meal containers ready to grab and go in the fridge, or if you want some ideas for weekly batch cooking to set yourself up for a healthy, easy way to follow your new Mediterranean diet meal plan. But I know that my idea of meal prep solves 5 problems. It helps you stay on track with your healthy eating plan. It saves a ton of time in the kitchen that you can spend doing other fun things. It creates meals that are ready when you aren't. It lowers the cost of your groceries, and it reduces a lot of food waste. Typical me, my first stab at making this video, I planned way too much. I made far too many dishes, and I suffered the same pitfall that lots of people do when first starting meal prep. But I'm going to save those lessons for another video and just go straight to what I learned. In my world, meal prep happens at least twice a week because I learned the hard way there are very few things that will last a full 7 days in the fridge and still be tasty enough to enjoy, or that I won't get bored with after a few days. First, take a look in your fridge to see what you might want to use up. Then pick some recipes you're in the mood for that the next 3 to 4 days will revolve around. It's pretty reasonable to come up with 8 or so mix and match ideas and put them together in 2 to 3 hours in the kitchen. And at the end of the video, I'll provide a link to a playlist that you can use to follow my exact plan or use for inspiration to create your own. The second step is getting organized. Take stock of what's already in your pantry and then make a shopping list of what you'll need. My style of meal prep starts when I put away my groceries. If you've watched my video on ways to make produce last longer when you store it right, you'll know how I do it. The plus is that it's an easy thing to do right after I get home from the market, and a good part of the meal prep process is done before the 2 to 3 hour countdown begins. And if you're finding value in this video, please give it a thumbs up now. Seeing your positive vibes really motivates me to work hard on making videos you're happy with. As I mentioned, there are 5 basic categories that are fundamental to a meal prep plan that will cover your bases for a few or more days. You'll want 1 to 2 homemade dressings ready to go in the fridge. These last a pretty long time, so having more than one is a really nice way to mix things up. I call these my indispensables because they can work in so many ways for so many meals. They can be an appetizer with some crackers or veggie sticks on the side. They can be thinned out in a sauce, and they can be a spread on a sandwich or a burrito. And today, I'm making the ultimately versatile hummus. You want to get your vegetables in every day, so whether you prep them in a jar of cold water in the fridge or roast a platter in the oven, you're gonna want to have these prepped and at the ready. Typically, I'll make one of these in a great big batch because they store and freeze so well. And that means quinoa is a staple in our house, and cooked whole grains are usually at the ready too. We eat a lot of fish, and I usually like to prepare it when it's fresh. But if you're making extra, you've got options for salads and burritos for a few days. And all I have to do is get the seasoning mix ready to go. Same goes for chicken breasts. Just mix up a couple of marinades, wrap them airtight, and throw them in the freezer for a last-minute bake. So pick whatever recipes appeal to you. Just make sure they find their way into one of the 5 key categories, and you'll be covered. For starters, anybody that tells you you can go from a standing start to finish in 2 hours has to be a speed demon, because I'm pretty darn organized and I've never made it to the finish line that fast. But I actually enjoy the whole process on a relaxed Sunday morning with some music going, so as they say, just chill and think of it as playtime in the kitchen. Here's my list of what I want to prep today, but I want to stress these are just my choices for the week. I change things up pretty much every time I make a meal prep plan. For dressings, I'm going to be making two of my favorites, orange date dressing and green goddess. I already mentioned for my indispensable this week it's hummus. As far as veggies go, it's going to be a platter of roasted veggies, so I'm planning on roasting broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots. This week, my grain of choice is whole grain rice, but it's also because I have a whole bunch of quinoa in the freezer ready to go. And as far as my protein goes over the next couple of days, it's going to be fresh salmon, so I get plenty of omega-3s in, and all I have to do is prep that seasoning mix. We did it! You can't imagine how happy I am that I overcame my fear of trying to make the best possible video I could about meal prep and just went for it. I hope it helps you stay on track and find your own ways to keep eating the Mediterranean way every day. And here's that playlist I promised. You'll find all the recipes I featured in this video in one easy place.